Good morning. It's 9 a.m. Friday, December 6, 2024. Welcome to the Good News live at 9 on Facebook and later available on our YouTube channel. Please comment in the chat so we know you're with us. This is a presentation of the Allen Park Presbyterian Church. Good morning, everyone. I'm Suzan Maxey. I'm an elder at Allen Park Pres. And my co-host is the moderator of the Deacons. She's a certified social media expert, and she's the communications manager at a church. Good morning, Kerri Van.
Good morning, Suzanne, and everyone who is watching. Of course, I'm fooling around with social media at the moment, sharing the show, but wow, it's a little bit cold, but it's going to get warmer, I heard.
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to get up to freezing today.
Yeah, I'm excited. Aren't you? I am
Warmer.
excited.
That's pretty bad when that's warmer.
Yes, it's been a little dark and cold. That's all I can say. But it is Friday, and it is a first Friday. So hopefully you know what that means. It means we're doing Christ Net lunches today.
Woohoo.
We made a new cool sign up to try to get more people to be involved with our ministry. It's been posted. There'll be an email, and you can sign up for any Friday if you want to join us. It's just like the Christ Net at our church, only at their center in Taylor. So watch for that, everyone.
Good.
Yeah.
And something else that you can sign up for is the, what's it called?
It's called the Giving Tree. It's, right.
Yep.
But it's basically we're adopting children for Christmas in the area. And all the gifts are due by the 15th because everything needs to be packaged up and delivered to the school. Time is going kind of fast this December, isn't it?
It seems like the closer we get to the end of the year, the faster it seems to be going too.
Right. So if you can help in any way, we would obviously appreciate it very much. We have a couple local businesses helping us as well, and Nancy Atkinson has faith. It's all going to come together, and it always does. So thank you for your support. We appreciate that very much.
And something going on around town tonight
Yeah.
is the DDA Holiday Market.
Yes. It's from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Allen Park Community Center. And you can also get your free pictures with Santa between the hours of 4 and 7. And they have a ton of great vendors. You can do shopping, you can buy treats. It's right in Allen Park, a great thing to do if you're still looking to take a selfie with Santa. I guess you don't have to be a kid either.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
And then tomorrow, staying with the theme here, is an Advent tea, and that is at our sister church, Grosseal Presbyterian, and that's at 2:00.
Right. All women are welcome. If you need to know how to register, you can contact me and I will let you know. We've had Advent teas at APPC and they are very nice and beautiful way to celebrate the season of Advent.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And more celebrations. Boy, we got lots of stuff going on, don't we?
We've had to cut a lot of it out because we have a great guest today and we want to make sure we have time. So this is a condensed version of everything going on, right?
Yep. So on Sunday then at 3 p.m., there is a Candles and Carols concert. It's an ecumenical Advent concert because there are lots of churches involved.
Yes, there are. There's like 8 of them, I believe.
Yep.
All the downriver PCU Presbyterian or PCU USA Presbyterian churches and the and churches from all over Grosseal. It's going to be great. Need to come. It's going to be almost 50 degrees on Sunday and cheer on our choir and enjoy this beautiful cantata.
Yep. So that's 3 p.m. at Grosseal Presbyterian Church on Sunday.
Right.
And speaking of Grosseal Presbyterian Church, our guest is the interim pastor there. So we're
see how I did that, Sue? I brought him right in, and here we go.
You push the buttons. Very good, Kerri.
Yes, I'm a good button pusher. We're letting David Montgomery get signed in and unmute himself?
I know he's there. We can see his name.
Yes. You know how these electronic devices are always crazy.
Yeah, I know.
One
So,
time, one time I accidentally uninstalled Zoom right before an important meeting. There we
oh,
go. Good morning, David.
Oh, I had to say permission that it's being live streamed. So
All right.
then I could do it.
Yeah, this is the big time, David.
Woo!
Live streaming. Woohoo! Good morning and happy Friday to you. We just got done talking about two events at Grow Zeal, the Advent Tea and the Cantata. We can talk about that a little bit later. That's going to
Yeah.
happen on Sunday.
Yeah.
We're excited to get to know you a little bit better. If you're watching us today, David Montgomery is the interim pastor at Grow Zeal Presbyterian Church. And we are happy to have him, and thank you to everyone who is watching. So we've dove into your past a little bit, David. So we're going to ask you some questions.
I hope I can answer them.
You can one way or the other.
What?
You grew up in the South in quite a few different states. We wondered if your dad was in the military, or how did that come about?
Well, yeah. Well, a real quick history. Born in Fort Worth, Texas, lived there 3 months. I almost did this way, which is hook 'em horns. And then my dad took the position as the manager of the Presbyterian bookstore in Atlanta. And he was there for 3 years, and then went up to Richmond, Virginia, where he was the executive secretary of the Board of Christian Education of the Southern Presbyterian Church.
Wow.
So he was in charge of the education curriculum that went out to the Southern Presbyterian Church. My mother was a graduate of the Presbyterian School of Christian Education, and she had been a Christian educator and worked for PSCE, Presbyterian School of Christian Education, as the assistant to the president. So until I graduated in 1974 from high school, and Dad took the job as the publisher of John Knox Press, the Presbyterian publishing house, but he had to move back down to Atlanta.
Wow.
So mom and dad moved to Atlanta when I went off to college, and mom was the director of refugee resettlement for the Presbyterian Church.
Wow. So when you say you have grown up a Presbyterian, you mean this?
I have grown up a Presbyterian.
Wow.
I have worked on every level of the church. I've been a page at General Assembly. I've also been working in the mail room of the General Assembly.
I love it. That's awesome.
then did you?
And it was fun because growing up in Richmond, we were 1 block from Union Seminary PSCE. So all my neighbors were Presbyterian ministers. And I call it lovingly the Presbyterian ghetto. People think that maybe can't be a ghetto. A ghetto is just a gathering of this like-minded, like social status. We were all upper middle class, white, in this neighborhood. And the church was very big, and so I was involved in church type stuff. Sunday morning, Sunday school and worship. Sunday night was youth fellowship. Monday night was youth choir. Wednesday night was family night suppers. Thursday night was international dance with the Presbyterian School of Christian Education.
Nice.
Every other Friday night was an international dance neighborhood gathering. Saturdays were our chore days, and we started Sunday again. So
Wow.
Presbyterian, I are Presbyterian.
Yes. Wow.
So when you were a kid and people ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? You just said, oh, I'm going to be a pastor, right?
No.
No.
Anything but.
Wow.
So
what happened there?
Well, I've got 2 older brothers, and they were graduating from seminary One went to Yale and one went to Union in Richmond. And they both graduated the same year that I graduated from college. So I was going to say, I'm not going to follow my brothers. They played.
Famous last words.
Yeah, well, that's right. They played basketball, so I played football and ran track. I wasn't going to do the same things they were. They all went to Presbyterian colleges, as well as my sister went to. So Jim went to Davidson, Stephen went to Worcester, Dee Dee went to St. Andrews. So I went to a state school. I was not going to do what they were going to do.
The black sheep rebel of the family.
Yeah, now we know who the rebel is of this Montgomery family.
So my degree was in recreation leadership. And so my first job was camping. I was a professional camper.
Wow.
Worked with emotionally disturbed boys who were ages 8 to 16 in a year-round therapeutic wilderness camp.
Wow.
We built the structures we lived in. We prepared our own meals for 2 days. The others we had a chuck wagon we went into. I was responsible with one co-counselor for 10 boys, and they were usually city kids, and getting them out in the woods and letting them understand you had to cooperate. And so we had strict rules and boundaries and love. And I would have continued that job, except I got married. And, and in getting married, I was living with the boys 5 days a week, 24 hours a day. I didn't think that was conducive to married life.
No, not a good married life, that's for sure. Not going to be a good way to start your marriage, for sure.
So after camp, and it was great because we would go on month-long canoe trips. The way you beat the winters in the mountains of North Carolina is you go to Florida. So there was one year we were floating around the Everglades, going from Cheeky to Cheeky for a month.
With the alligators?
There were alligators.
Oh,
16 footers. Oh yeah. Oh, we had little ones. We had 16 footers. You stay away.
Yeah. I'll stay in Michigan. Far away.
Right. 1 year we built a raft and we floated down the Swanee River for the month of January. We would take month-long canoe backpacking trips in the fall and spring. And we took a 6-week bus trip from North Carolina to California and back. Unfortunately, on that trip, I flipped the bus, and
no,
I was the only one in it. No one was hurt, but I totaled the bus.
Oh my!
And got a ticket for driving too fast for the conditions. The condition was I was asleep.
Oh no! It's always so scary. We've done a lot of mission trips. I know exactly what you mean.
It was lucky no one was with me. I was driving at 2:30 in the morning, and I got cold, and I turned on the heat. So note to self, don't turn on the heat. Don't
roll the window down, turn the radio up, and sing.
That's right. That's right. So, but then I tried construction work for 3 months and realized that was too hard of work, and I'm not talented in that. And so I wrote remember, I grew up in the Presbyterian ghetto. I wrote every Presbyterian minister I knew, handwritten note. Dear Phil, I've just graduated with a degree in recreation, have 3 years experience counseling youth. So please, if you have an opening in recreation or youth, hire me. And if you have somebody, fire them and hire me. I was pretty bold.
Love
So
it.
a friend, Jim Colley, out in Arizona, said, I don't have a place, but why don't you look at First Presbyterian Church, Fort Worth, Texas. I was born in Fort Worth. My mother was on staff at First Fort Worth 36 years before I got there. So I went and I was the youth director for 3 years. And then I said, look, these kids are asking me questions I never considered. Like, tell me about the 7 days of creation. How did that happen? Where do dinosaurs fit into that? And they said, tell me, how did Jonah get swallowed by a whale? And tell me about Noah and the flood. And how do the hands of the mountains clap? And I didn't have answers. So I went to Louisville Seminary because I wanted to get out of the South. I didn't know that Louisville is still in the South. In fact, Louisville doesn't know that the Civil War is over and they don't know who won. So in that time, I went, get the ironic of it, I went to seminary to get answers and I came out with more questions.
Wow.
But bless my wife's heart, Anne Marie had followed me from North Carolina to Texas. She had never been west of the Mississippi. And then I drug her and a kid to seminary. We had another kid there. So I said, okay, Anne Marie, it's your turn. Where should I apply? I can get a job in any big city with youth and recreation and in a church. And she said, well, you can go to Richmond, and she could go to PSE, or go to Atlanta, and she could go to Emory or Columbia, or you can go to Nashville, and she can go to Scarrett, which is a Methodist school. So I got a job at Westminster Presbyterian Church in Nashville, and she went and was going to enroll in Scarrett in 1 year because she just had a baby, and then Scarrett closed and moved to Durham to be swallowed up by Duke. So here we had another child. So now with 3 children under the age of 6, she said, David, I've got to go to seminary.
Wow.
And so she was gonna commute from Nashville to Louisville because I had a wonderful job. I was the associate pastor for youth and their families at a large, vibrant church. I had 35 7th graders.
Wow.
I had 30 8th graders, and that was my confirmation class and youth group. I had 110 senior highs.
Oh my goodness.
And it was wonderful. Great staff. Casey Tomey was the head of staff, and it was just a wonderful experience. But then I said, oh, you're not going to commute. So I'll get a job in Louisville. And Louisville had the opening at Strathmore Presbyterian Church. And I went and learned a lot about myself. I ended up being asked to leave. But part of that is, let me put it in context, I was the 5th pastor in a row to be asked to leave. At least they didn't give me a heart attack like they gave my predecessor, Dick Clippinger.
Oh my goodness.
So
that was traumatic.
Yeah. And so my final sermon was a lot taken from Dick Clippinger's predecessor's last sermon of what they needed to lead. But what the gift that I gave that church is I invited Presbytery in. And it was a wonderful sense that they said, enough of this. You cannot call another pastor. You're going to have a designated pastor, and you have these 3 choices. And they were set for 5 years and got on the road, and they decided to be Presbyterian by following Book of Order and by, there were some horrible things of an elder, not active, but an elder took me to lunch at the country club and said, David, I've cut my pledge in half until you can do these 10 things.
Right.
And, and one of them, some of them were valid, such as you need to give honor and recognition to the veterans on Veterans Day. Yes, I do. And that just slipped my mind. And I've done that ever since. And thank you, this elder, for that. But he also had things like said, David, you've got to quit doing children's moments because that's beneath a Presbyterian minister.
Wow.
Think about that.
Really?
Think about that. He also said that I needed to get my wife out of seminary and get her back in the kitchen where she belonged.
Oh, game
Kerri,
over.
Kerri, I love your response.
I know.
I wanted to tell him, would you talk to Anne Marie about that?
Yes. Yeah, go to her and bring that up with her.
Because that's not an issue. So I left wounded. Anne Marie had just been just finished her degree from Louisville as in spiritual direction and Masters of Divinity. So we found a church in Murray, Kentucky, where we co-pastored. We interviewed. I got the interview. It was still the good old boy, get the man, get the interview. And then in the interview, they said, Anne Marie, if David comes, what would you do? And said, we'd like to talk with you about that. We thought about co-pastoring. And they said, what does that look like? And I said, we have no idea. But why don't you talk to your interim pastors, who's a clergy couple? And so Dick and Betty Shepperson walked us through co-pastoring. John Kipp, the executive presbyter, was very helpful. And so we went sharing one position with a promise, a verbal promise, that there would be a campus ministry position for me at Murray State. So for 6 months, it was just us sharing one position. And then I did get the job that the Synod paid my salary for campus ministry. The church provided the housing, well, the building and the office, which was all the church until, my claim to fame, I guess, of my has developing a Presbyterian campus ministry at Murray State called MOTA, M-O-T-A, Ministry Open to All.
Nice.
We were the only open and affirming ministry on that campus, and I helped develop a interfaith council that had a hard time working with a particular ministry that was very much concerned about my soul and how I was leading a church to hell.
Oh my goodness.
By doing two things: one, being inclusive to LGBTQIA, but also for allowing my wife to be in the pulpit.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what we've been part of. And
change makers for sure.
Well, it was a great place. Anne Marie developed cancer 12 years ago. I'm sorry, it's 13 years now. And the church was wonderful with that and helped us get through that. She beat it, had the radiation, chemotherapy, surgery, all that. And we finally decided it was time to leave. Our boys had moved on. We had built a new facility. MOTA was growing. And I had an opportunity to come to Toledo to be the executive director of Toledo Campus Ministry, an ecumenical campus ministry, open and affirming, 8 different denominations, all open and affirming. And so we were the open and affirming ministry at TCM. And that was a good 6 years of interracial group, a lot of kids who had been stung by the church, found this to be the community. Still, Sunday mornings weren't big for them, but Thursday nights were huge. meals that were provided by the churches and integration and mission trips and all that. Then after 6 years there, we ran out of funding, and part of that is a huge part of my fault. I thought the board of directors was to raise funds, and they thought the executive director was to raise funds. And when everybody thinks somebody else is doing it, Suzanne, what do you think happens?
Nobody's doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, the ecumenical movement was dying when I moved here. The first meeting of the Ohio Interfaith Council of Campus Ministries said, David, welcome. This is our last meeting.
Oh,
and
boy.
that was the last interfaith campus ministry board in the United States.
Oh.
And so we got a lot of funding from the Presbyterians and the Methodists mostly. And they've started pulling their resources to local communities, which I thought was a huge blunder. And so I then found the position as an interim pastor at Bowling Green, Ohio. So that was Bowling Green State University. And that was a wonderful 3 years there. I'm excited about the ministry that they've done. My time there, we were able to shift the staff around and ended up hiring a Christian education person who had 2 master's degrees, which fit the community.
Mm.
And the pastor they called had 2 master's degrees as well as a PhD, and is a stand-up comic.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that, David.
Yeah, so they are blossoming and doing well. And then that brings me to Grosse Ile. And what attracted me to Grosse Ile, I live in Toledo, so it's a 45-minute trek on a good day.
Right.
It has been a 4-hour trip when there's a wreck and construction, but that's only been one time. But like 2 days ago, it was an hour and a half to get here. So, just making that. But people make that commute all the time in New York. I mean,
Right.
Atlanta. And so.
Well,
But
David, how do you feel being an interim is different than being an installed pastor?
Well, I would say, well, that there's some who have come in and say, David, as an interim, you need to calm the waters. And I say, no.
Not you, anyway.
No.
You're not going to call any waters, I don't think.
That's not my job. My job is to rip Band-Aids off. I am to announce these are the problems that I see. This is where we need. They say, well, don't talk about more light. It may upset some people. Well, I end my every service. Well, not Christmas Eve, but and not weddings or funerals, but the Sunday worship. You will hear my benediction is the old monastic benediction. May God bless you with discomfort of easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you will live deeply and from the heart. And may God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, and the exploitation of others, so that you and I will work for justice, freedom, and peace.
Love it.
And may God bless you with tears to shed with those who are in pain, the pain of addiction, incarceration, disease, loneliness, abandonment, so that you will reach your hands out to them and miraculously turn their pain into joy. And may God bless us with enough foolishness to believe that, yes, we can make a difference in this old world by doing the things that others say cannot be done, like love your neighbor and pray for your enemies and feed the hungry. So go with God's blessings.
That is fantastic.
So that's St. Francis. And, it's one of let's, Karl Barth said you are to comfort, the gospel is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And I, as an interim, I know my contract now is up December 31st, 2025. Now, if they find somebody before then I'm gone, and that's fine. But that's my date. So it's not time just to look long range. This is a looking, let's get the system in order. Now, it's an exciting time, but it's a challenging time. How many things are in flux? Look at our presbytery. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at our General Assembly. With the merger of the two bodies of organization, and the downsizing and all that. So it's an exciting part to be. And in the interim training, it's a transitional, and we're all transitional. We're in a time that one of the most illustrative books I read was Canoeing the Mountains. And it's the story of Lewis and Clark, who Thomas Jefferson gave them the challenge, the mission to get a water trade route from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Well, they're paddling their canoes, and then they find the Rocky Mountains. The mission is the same, but you got to have another vehicle to get there. So what is the mission of the church now? And so I'm excited about what I will be doing in retirement, which is I start my doctorate in August, this coming August, at Midville Lombard Theological School, which is a Unitarian Universalist school in social justice leadership. And I think, because I think that is where the church has pretty much missed the boat, if I could say that. I'm talking about canoes. It's been so much about establishing an institution. And I think Christ calls us to be in a relationship. And sometimes institutions keep people away, can bring people together, yes. But how do we get to know each other? And it's been a blessing, Kerri, to get to know you on the many different ways. And that little group of the 4 pastors coming together, to me, that's church. And that's Presbyterian of being connectional, seeing the gifts and talents that the others have, and it's not competition. We're all on the same team. Jesus Christ is the head of the church. Let's pull Southminster and Allen Park, Lincoln Park, and Grosse Ile together. Our demographics are different, but it's still the same Lord and Savior.
I couldn't agree more, David, because I just love it, because we're not in competition with one another. We're all out there doing exactly the same thing, loving one another as Jesus would have told us to do. I love it, love it, love it. And I've enjoyed getting to know you better too. You're just a firecracker, and I love it. and we are reaching. Oh, I could talk to you for hours. We are reaching the end of our time together, and just what a wonderful way. We have a lot of people watching. A lot of people watch later to hear your story. And you and Anne Marie just had a path that just kept leading to new horizon.
Right.
I have one question for you
Yes,
to answer. I was not born Presbyterian. I chose to be Presbyterian.
Okay.
And one of the main reasons, and what I have heard each pastor at our church say in the new members classes or whatever, and I can't, they're very eloquent with it, and I'm sure you would be too, but I can't quite formulate it, is say something about, as Presbyterians, we don't believe we have the cornerstone on truth, but we're open. And there's an actual saying, I think you know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, one is we are better together than we are apart. And that your perspective and my perspective may be opposite, but the truth is somewhere. One thing we're called about is how many committees we have. And in that, I mean, there is more wisdom in the committees and the community together. I need to hear from someone who did not grow up Presbyterian. I need to hear from someone who grew up in a culture that is so heterosexual, but they are LGBTQIA. And I need to hear from people of color. And I need to hear from women. And we are better hearing those perspectives. And so it is honoring and respecting all those. It was interesting. The Book of Order used to say everybody, membership was open to everybody, not especially, including scientists.
Oh my.
So at the time when science and religion were fighting, Book of Order had to lay that out. And one of my elders, George Kippett, a scientist in elder training, asked them to read. He brought that up. You see what this says? Well, it's no longer in the Book of Order, but it is that everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. So I don't know if that answered your question. I don't have the eloquent, I don't know the phrase that's not coming from.
That's still pretty good. Thank you.
But it is, we're better together. We're better together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we are out of time. I am so sorry because we could talk for hours.
Yes, we could. I like got 40
another time.
got 40 questions right in the back of my mind right now, but I think we should let you do one last advertising promo for the cantata since it's at Grosse Ile.
Okay.
People that are still with us, showing up all the hearts in the chat.
Good.
So you can talk them into coming. It's going to be 50 degrees that day.
It's great. Well, at 3:00 we have 8 different churches coming together. We have a choir of about 60 because of all the churches bringing their choirs, doing a cantata that is carols and carols and candles. The 4 Presbyterian ministers are going to all be here and doing readings, and we're going to be able to hear a quick story about Freedom House, and there will be a love offering taken for that. But the main thing is 3 to 4 o'clock or so would be the program, and then a fellowship where all the churches are bringing treats, and we're providing coffee and juice and tea. 3 o'clock, Grosse Ile Presbyterian Church, right here on the island.
Right, and EPBC has room in our church bus if you want to carpool together. Otherwise, it's going to be a great day. One of our viewers said, from Norma, what a wonderful and inspirational interview. Thank you, Pastor David and Kerri and Suzan.
Absolutely.
All right, so you can all go see Pastor David and all of our pastors from the 4 churches, including our very own Pastor Tim, who is watching. And we can have a great time of fellowship and beautiful music and togetherness. We are going to conclude with Pastor David's one of his favorite scriptures. And after that, David, we probably figure you have a lot to do. And if you need to go, we understand. And Suzanne will do our closing.
Okay.
Thanks again, David.
Uh-huh.
The scripture is Romans chapter 8, verses 38 and 39. Say, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord.
One of my favorites as well. Thank you again. We'll see you on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Blessings and happy Advent.
Thank you. Same to you.
Uh-huh.
And if you would like to understand more about the good news of Jesus Christ, be sure to join Pastor Tim for devotions. He's live at the new time of 9:30 a.m. Monday through Thursday on Facebook, or join us Sundays at 10 a.m. for worship. It's live streamed on Facebook and YouTube, or in person in our sanctuary in Allen Park, Michigan. And if you'd like to be a guest with us on a Friday of your choice, just let us know. We are scheduling guests through February. And we hope you will join us for the next The Good News Live at 9 a.m. when our guest will be Steve Donahue, the balloon guy. And remember, you are a beloved child of God.
Yeah.
And God loves you. And so do we.
Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. We ran over a little bit, but we don't even care. It was a great interview. Thank you, David.
Thank
Have a
you
great
very
day,
much.
everyone.
Peace.
Bye, everyone. Have a great week.